Thank you for your comments. Glenn, if you'd like to get up and speak, you're next. Well, why don't we just go ahead, Glenn? Okay, I just don't want you to think that this is slanted, so you definitely have the next spot if you'd like it. Okay, go ahead, Nicole. Let's make sure we go smoothly. So just call from the other roster, or however it is, so it's balanced. Thank you.
I'll call 4 names. Gabriel Sanchez, Beatrice Chavez, Ed Verdugo, and Deborah Elmore, but I believe she spoke already.
We got any hits over here?
Tracy Mahoney.
Okay. We need people at the back of the room. So. Please don't hold signs that block anyone's view. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tracy Mahoney, and I am a citizen of Beaumont, and I do vote. What part of illegal don't you guys understand? Opposing SB 54 has nothing to do with hate or racism. It's about the law. If you are not able to uphold the U.S. Constitution that you all swore an oath to uphold, then you need to resign now, tonight, because you were sworn into office to uphold the Constitution. 3 of you are up for a re-election come November, and we as U.S. citizens have a right and a duty to get rid of you if you do not uphold the Constitution. We vote for you, not the illegals, unless they are breaking the law by voting. Elected and appointed officials are paid with my tax dollars to serve and protect U.S. citizens, not illegals. You are not paid to commit a crime by harboring illegal aliens who have already committed a crime by being in our country illegally. The world is covered with sovereign countries. Each country has a right and a duty to control who comes into their country. There is a legal path for anyone who wants to move here. And if a person, child, or family chooses not to take that legal path and enters illegally, then they should be immediately deported. The illegals all say that they want a better life, and if they get deported, then it will split up their family. Well, guess what? It's their responsibility to make their own country great. And it's their own responsibility to take their family back to their own country and not have the family split up. It's the adult illegal responsibility, not the United States responsibility. I work in healthcare, and I've seen firsthand how the illegals take advantage of our healthcare system. Because illegals broke the law to get here, what makes you think they're going to follow the laws while they're here? Tell you what, why don't all of you just leave your
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. No. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Hello, my name is Angelina Ridenauer. My husband and I are native Californians and have raised our 3 children here in Beaumont for the last 14 years. But California has begun unleashing criminals on us. It is a blatant attack. It's not like they're trying to hide it from us. They told us right to our faces this last January when they declared us a sanctuary state. They may use flowery words like sanctuary to make their vicious attack sound more palatable, but make no mistake about the definition. They turned us all into prey to these dangerous criminals. This is a deliberate and heinous attack, and to call it anything else is simply a lie. How else do you explain the fact that they actually catch these criminals? So it's not like they can't catch them or they don't know where they are. No, they actually catch them, have them in their custody, find out just how bad they are, whether they're rapists, child molesters, or drug dealers, and then purposely, not accidentally, release them into our cities, our communities, and our neighborhoods. As a mother, how am I supposed to look my children in the eyes and explain that I will permit them to live anywhere that has made us sitting ducks for criminals? How can I say to them, as the state of California has said to us, we're going to intentionally and purposely expose you to violent criminals? I can't look my kids in the eyes and say that. I'm responsible for their safety and well-being. And unlike the so-called leaders in our corrupt government, I recognize that that responsibility is mine, and so is the blame if it happens. Because if I stay here after the state has already declared to us that they're going to do this, and something happens to one of my kids, that makes me an accomplice. My state has betrayed me, and now I want to know if my city will too. Or will you step up and do the right thing? Because if not, I'm obligated to do the right thing for my children and move them out of here to a place that's not trying to destroy us. It's simple. Are you going to protect criminals or innocent citizens? This is ludicrous that this is even a question, let alone a debate.
Thank you for your comments.
Gary. I don't know what the last name is, but it starts with a J. Could be.
Please come right up. Okay, thank you. Excuse me, was your name called?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. All right, thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
My name is Douglas B. Gibbs, and I'm the author of the ordinance to opt out of sanctuary state that was presented to the City Council by the local Tea Party. The issue is really not about race. My wife was born in Mexico, immigrated here illegally, naturalized 2007. She's as opposed to SB 54 as I am. You know, when all of you left tonight, you locked the door of your home. Not because you hate the people on the outside, but because you love the people on the inside. This state and this country is our home. Now that said, SB 54 is illegal. It's an unlawful, invalid law. Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution gives the federal government authority over naturalization. Article 1, Section 9 gives the federal government authority over making a law, Congress making law to prohibit persons from migrating into the country if they so desire. Article 6, the Supremacy Clause, disallows states from having laws contrary to authorized federal laws. So it is an invalid law, and I ask that the city does consider opting out, because you are obligated and it is your duty to uphold the U.S. Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Mayor, members of the City Council, my name is Gary Gendron. I'm a retired police chief from the city of Palm Springs. I have 34 years of law enforcement experience. I live in the city of La Quinta, but I grew up in Beaumont, and I have a weird sense of deja vu because I went to elementary school in this very building. I'm here to talk to you about the public safety side. It is true that there's 800 different definitions that we do get back to ICE. We can turn over to ICE for violations. But there are far many more crimes that are not addressed and that we can release, and that is a public safety problem. And the final issue that I want to make is that this law interferes with the communication between federal law enforcement, state, and local agencies. I was a police officer when 9/11 occurred. The biggest criticism we had is that we operated in silos of information. We didn't share information. What this law does is it interferes and creates an artificial silo. And that to me is very dangerous when law enforcement cannot communicate freely across the board from the federal government to the local level. And I urge you to reject the sanctuary state. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, good evening. My name is Beatriz Chavez, and I don't consider myself to be a political person. However, I am here to represent a positive image of immigrants. I am proud to say myself that I was born in a different country, and with my 9 other siblings, 2 of which were born here, and my parents, did live here undocumented for many, many years. And, you know, living as an undocumented person, you avoid interaction with government agencies because there is always that fear. And I do want to tell you that, you know, you always fear of being deported. Now, luckily, in the 80s, we were given amnesty and we were granted legal status. And I can tell you proudly that all of my citizens and myself are productive citizens. I am aware that under the current political climate, my family could have been deported. And I could be one of those people that some people are very much against. I am grateful for the opportunities that I've been given, and I try to repay my community by helping others. Now, I've been a teacher for many, many years, and I've educated hundreds of children regardless of their legal status. And the beauty of our country is that I was once an illegal immigrant viewed by many as undesirable and maybe even criminal, but I am now contributing to the education of children, some many even American-born citizens. And that's the irony and the beauty of our country. I do want to say that if you are to make a decision about SB 54, I ask that you please support it. And I do also want to tell you that I also do vote. Immigrant populations are vulnerable enough, and they need to feel comfortable approaching law enforcement agencies when they need help without fear for themselves or their families. So I thank you for your time, and I pray that God guides you in your decision. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. I am here because I am confused about the support of this action before the committee, the council. It seems that those who have brought this before you are the same group that opposes government interference in states' rights and local issues. They're the same group that wants us to have more spiritual presence in our schools. And yet, this discussion is so divisive and is so contrary to the principles of the Christian religion and many other faiths, where we are called to be neighbors, where we are called to remember what it's like to be an immigrant or a refugee. And I would ask those of you of that faith to really check out what the Bible says if you're a Christian, in Exodus, in Leviticus, in Galatians, in Matthew. I was tired, I was thirsty, I was poor, I was naked. These are our neighbors, and there are many bad stories. And as someone else said, there seems to be a gross misunderstanding of what SB 54 is. It's already been stated that law enforcement may coordinate with ICE for all of these felonious crimes, including...
Thank you for your comments.
And I hope that we can stop the fear mongering.
Thank you for your comment. Nicole, how many more names do we have? I have to make a decision on whether to take a break or whether to try to wrap it up.
I would guesstimate.
Are we like 10 or more?
More.
More, okay. Thank you. Then after these two lovely young ladies get up to speak, then we'll take a short break, all right? Thank you.
Okay, good evening. My name is Lenore Ferris, and I come from South America legally 50 years ago. And immediately I did my papers, and I became citizens of the United States. Then, after so many years, I decided to become American citizen. And I never voted for anybody, only Trump. Because Trump is the only one who can solve all this mess. Okay.
Yes.
And one thing is, I opt out for sanctuary cities. I don't want sanctuary cities. People come here and illegally, and they put them in front of you when we are waiting 10 years and first and fill the papers and do everything legally to come here. And then they put the other people that they never did anything, and they have a lot of infections and a lot of stuff that is going to affect this country. And also as an invasion because they want to take California away from the United States. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Mayor, may I make a comment, please?
No. No, we're going to go with the next one and we're going to take
You
a
know,
break.
we sat quietly while 25 people came up, and everyone sat and listened and paid attention. There were no comments from the crowd. I would hope that the other
Councilmember,
people who've already spoken would show
let's
the
wrap
same
it up.
respect for the other people who are voicing their
Okay,
opinion.
we are not going to speak from the dais during public comments. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Judy Neal, and my ancestors came here in 1619 when this country was being run by a ruler. And so when you talk about indigenous people, okay, Mexico invaded this land and ran out the Indians. But I'm diversing here. I don't envy the decision that we are putting you all in. SB 54 brings ICE into our communities, which makes it unsafe. If ICE is still allowed to work throughout our jails, it keeps our officers safe, it keeps our communities safe, and it keeps families safe. I live in a city where this is happening also. So I wanted to come and speak, and I wanted to hear what other people are saying and how the cities are reacting. There's an uprising coming, and it doesn't look good. And I just hope that you all understand SB 54 causes more community unrest than solves it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Now, before we take a break here, we're going to take a break for 10 minutes. We're going to come back and we are just going to continue. 7:45 from our break. We are going to continue reading just through the list. Again, anybody who's on the list is just going to come up. We will cue people at the back. And again, I ask that you remember to respect whoever it is that's at the microphone. No comments when they're on their way back to the seat. No comments from the seat. Let's just treat everyone who comes to the microphone respectfully, and let's continue. We're doing good, so let's continue. With that, Nicole, how are we doing?
Okay, I'll call 4 names.
Okay, 4 names are going to be called, so please queue up at the back so we can continue smoothly. And thank you very much for your cooperation.
Glenn Stoll, Robert Allen, Eddie Bowl, Mike Rossiter.
Honorable Mayor and council members, I'm Glenn Stahl, retired realtor and a member of the local Tea Party. And thank you for having this hearing. I've lived in this area 50 years, operated a small business, raised my family here. As a legal citizen, I find myself fighting my own state government for law and order. State government policy is making our state unsafe and creating chaos. I want the council to know I oppose SB 54, sanctuary state law, signed by Governor Brown, an unconstitutional law, because it's making California a haven for illegal aliens and putting state government in direct opposition to law and order against the federal government. I'd like to remind the council of the Berkeley News report back in 2015, a survey showing 74% of Californians oppose sanctuary cities, including 71% of Democrats. Yet the progressive left leadership doubled down on SB 54. Sacramento ignored the majority of citizens in passing SB 54. Also, we recently witnessed county supervisors ignoring the majority of Beaumont and Cherry Valley, changing zoning from residential to heavy industrial warehouse. I hope this council will hear the protests now taking place here throughout California and America. The vast majority in this state are against lawlessness and sanctuary havens for illegals. The progressive leftists have lost the people and are now using paid community organizers to intimidate anyone that opposes their extremist political agenda. City government is the closest to the people and need to stand against tyranny. Please join other cities and disavow SB 54. And I just want to say that 4.4 million people voted for Donald Trump, more than Governor Brown.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Much appreciated.
What was that from?
My name is Rob Allen. I've been an
From the deputy.
actual citizen here in Beaumont, unlike so many of these people come from out of town telling us how we should be living. The leftist politicians in Sacramento who are voted in by the giant population centers of the Los Angeles area and the Bay Area are leading our great state of California down a very dangerous path, enacting laws that are in direct violation of federal law and the Constitution of the United States. We, the people of the smaller communities, need to stand up for law, order, and public safety. We need to send a message to Sacramento that we, the people, will not harbor and we will not tolerate criminals, whether they be foreign or domestic. These same politicians who keep releasing non-violent criminals into our population, the same politicians who stated that rape is no longer a violent crime. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, good evening. My name is Edie Bowl. I know many of you up here. My husband and I moved here 28 years ago when the population was about 10,000 people, and I felt safe raising my 3 children here. Beaumont is growing, and people moved here because it was a small town and to feel safe. But if we protect illegal criminals, our city will no longer feel safe. California is releasing many criminals out of prison, and we do not want them coming here with the criminal behavior. Let's follow the lead of Los Alamitos, Escondido, San Diego, and vote no sanctuary state. This is really not a race issue. It's a safety issue. I want to help raise my grandchildren here, but we need to protect citizens, and I believe it's basically criminals that will be deported, not law-abiding people, whether they're citizens or not. I believe that's really what it's all about. So thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
3 other speakers to get in line is Jeannie Rossiter, Janice Reed, and Greg George.
It's a stiff one tonight, isn't it? Madam Mayor, my name is Mike Rossiter. I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, City Council, my name is Mike Rossiter. I'm a member of the Beaumont Banning Cherry Valley Tea Party. I'm speaking on behalf of them and myself. I am a United States citizen. I'm a resident of Beaumont, native-born Californian. And yes, my family came across as immigrants, legal immigrants. Once upon a time, you had to go through Ellis Island. I would like to correct you, Madam Mayor, on just one little thing when you opened up this. We are a republic. We're a democratic republic, but we are a republic. In the words of Ben Franklin, when was asked a question, what have you given us? He said, Madam, we have given you a republic, if you can keep it. I'm also a Navy veteran, a Vietnam veteran, and I've reminded this council more than once now that I took an oath back in 1970. I support and defend the Constitution of the United States, not the Republican Party, not the Democratic Party, not the Green Party. The Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. I would ask you to support the law of the land. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Beaumont City Council members. I am a resident of Beaumont, and I'm here to ask the council to officially opt out of SB 54. I want our city to lead by example and let our lawmakers in Washington, D.C. and our president know that we support the rule of law in Beaumont, California, and that is federal immigration law. SB 54 is about tying the hands of law enforcement to communicate with ICE, protecting Californians against transnational crimes, the worst of the worst crimes committed. It is also about the amount of taxes we, as citizens of California, Riverside County, and the city of Beaumont pay out. California currently is $1.3 billion in debt and are projected to be $1.4 trillion in debt by the end of 2018. California has the largest illegal alien population in the United States, and we spend the most taxpayer money on those illegal aliens. SB 54 does break federal immigration law, and it is our duty as citizens to uphold the law. It is not about race. The United States has two borders, northern and southern. The number one group of citizens that overstay their visas in this country are Canadians. Please protect our community and our families and vote no on SB 54. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
I'll call someone.
To call.
HD.
Okay,
Find it.
thank you.
Yes, my name's Robin Vidston, and I am the director of We the People Rising and the Remembrance Project, and we have members here in Beaumont. This issue of SB 54 is an issue of public safety. SB 54 does not allow local law enforcement to work with immigration officials when they have inmates in custody. And the truth is, in our state, many felonies are plea bargained down to misdemeanors. A person in our country illegally, according to SB 54, if they are convicted of drunk driving, that's a misdemeanor, and they will be returned to our communities. They state that there are 800 serious crimes that ICE can work with local law enforcement. However, again, most felonies are plea bargained down to misdemeanors and do not rise to the level of a conviction. So this is an issue of public safety, keeping our families and our community safe. So we call upon you to oppose SB 54. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. My name is Jeff Snow, and I've been a resident since 2007. California born and raised in Ventura County and LA County. And this is a concerning time for me. SB 54 is subverting what our Constitution establishes. When your law enforcement simply needs to make a phone call and tell the federal law enforcement, hey, we've got a bad guy, and this bad guy is going to be released into our streets. We arrested him, cited him, charged him, and penalized him, and now he's going free. And you need to come pick him up because there's federal charges on him or something else. That's a simple thing to do. That's not a high cost, a high value issue. And we've heard a lot about money tonight. Illegal aliens pay taxes. They do. About $3 billion a year. They cost us $31 billion a year. There's a big washout there, and we need to deal with that. Tonight I've heard people like me called Nazis, racists, not Christian, and by the governor of our state, I've been called a lowlife today. That's an issue. Things need to change. I don't know what's happening in the state, but we're a border state. And as a border state, we're the first line of defense for the rest of the nation. And as a nation, we need to begin to stand up for the Constitution. We as city councils need to do the right thing. This needs to stop. We need to stop it here. We need to vote no on SB 54. You will be held accountable. It's time. We as a nation need to stand up and say, hey, we love you. We want good immigration. We know that some of them are going to be bad guys, but when they're coming over illegally, they're starting as illegals, and that needs to stop. We need to stand up for this republic, which we stand. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. Is this mic on?
Yes.
Good evening. I am an American, and I'm speaking on behalf...
Excuse me. Please begin again.
Good evening. I am an American and I'm speaking on behalf of the millions of forgotten Americans here in the state of California. In my lifetime, I've seen the best of America during World War II, and now I see it at its worst. I witness people who tear down statues in colleges or having a riot in colleges, illegal aliens who burn our flag and they wave theirs. I love my country and the freedoms for which it stands. I served in the United States Marine Corps during the Korean War to protect those freedoms. However, I am saddened to say that our freedoms are under attack by those who seek to exercise arbitrary power with unjust and oppressive severity. The sanctuary state law is in direct conflict with the United States Constitution. What is the spirit and intent of SB 54? It's not for me, it's not for you. It's to protect those criminals who are here illegally and to protect the people who came here illegally. I would like to make a quote from one of our great presidents, Abraham Lincoln. And if you don't remember anything tonight, I hope you'll remember this. President Lincoln once said, "All of the armies of Asia and Europe could not by force take a drink from the Ohio River or make a track in the Blue Ridge in the total of 1,000 years. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a matter of free men, or as a nation of free men, we will live forever or die by suicide." I'm asking the City Council tonight to oppose Senate Bill 54 along with other cities and support Jeff Sessions. The answer, you must answer this question. Are you with President Lincoln or Governor Brown, Kevin DeLeon, and their supporters? It's your choice and one you must make.
Thank you, sir. That's all right.
I'm Rachel Eugley, and
I appreciate it very much. Go ahead.
President and City Council. I'm here to represent the United States citizens and our Constitution. The first problem we have is that most of the residents of the state of California and the United States have not read our Constitution, nor do they understand it. It's not being taught in the schools, and the illegals have not even attempted to read it, to understand why they are here. And they like what they see, but they want to change it by trying to change our Constitution. And it's not to be changed based on social values. Now, what has happened is that the current illegals have not become a United States citizen. Why is that? If they love America and they love the state of California, where our Constitution, in this nifty little book that they can acquire, it says that the citizens of each state shall be entitled to all the privileges and immunities of citizens of the United States. So why have they not? They've been before you tonight. They've been here a while. They've indicated they've made a contribution, but they've not made an attempt to become a United States citizen. And they're the ones who are breaking up their families. They're the ones that are setting the wrong example for their children, that it's okay to break the laws. They're here, and they have every right.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you.
Sorry. Hello, my name is Brianna Quick, and I have owned my home here in Beaumont for the last 13 years. I'm a single mother of two, and my ex-husband is a Command Master Chief in the United States Navy, and he is currently deployed. I would like to use my time tonight to approach the situation from a different vantage point than my fellow patriots and our opposition. Since AB 109 was implemented, and since California decided to become a sanctuary state, despite the wonderful job that our police force is doing, I have noticed a huge uptick of crime, drugs, and homeless people in our area. They have worked their way into our town, and While as a mother and a nurse and a fellow human being, I feel for them, being on drugs with nothing to lose is never a good thing. This problem was not prevalent until California became a sanctuary state. It seems that just by announcing that we are a sanctuary state, criminals and drug addicts have flocked this direction, thinking they will be safer from the law here more than other states. I believe they think we are weaker on crime because we are calling ourselves a sanctuary. And truth be told, they seem to be exactly right. It's not getting any better, only worse. I live in a cul-de-sac in a nice neighborhood, and just last week, a middle-aged Hispanic man walked into my driveway while I was not home, but my daughter and her friend were there alone. He walked off with my furniture dolly. Thank goodness that's all he was there for. I have learned, not just by this instance, but by several others, that I cannot have anything in my yard these days that is not nailed down or someone will walk off with it, and that sucks. I can't even decorate my yard for holidays anymore, and I used to decorate for all the good ones, not just Christmas. The caliber of people in this town has drastically changed, and I don't feel safe at night in certain parts of Beaumont, which happen to be very close to my home. Unless the city of Beaumont can step up and tell me and my kids that you will protect us from the type of people that being a sanctuary attracts, while simultaneously sending a clear message to the drug addicts and criminals that we won't tolerate this kind of stuff in our town, I will have to sell my house and move out of state. I really don't want to do that and uproot my kids, so please make the decision that will make Beaumont great again and opt out of being a sanctuary for criminals. No one SB.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you, and God bless.
Thanks.
Good evening, council members. My name is John Zlatic. I'm a native Californian, and I opposed Senate Bill 54 because of the rule of law. My father was an immigrant, a legal immigrant from Ellis Island. His brother came or tried to come via Mexico, and he was deported, rightly so. I have a daughter who's married a Latino, so I have a lot of Latino friends, but it's a matter of a rule of law, and if anybody tells you that there isn't much cost associated with that, that you can Google FAIR, which is a federal American immigration reform, and they give Congress documents to use. We have northern or Canada border. There's people that overstay their visas. That's a problem. In fact, the politicians have brought this down. They should have solved this 20 or 25 years ago, so we wouldn't have this problem. They kicked it. They kicked it in the future, and now we have this problem. There's strict rules in as far as immigration in Mexico and Canada, much stricter than what we have in the U.S. And part of the problem, many people are coming not only from Mexico, but other countries, South America, in Europe, because they can come over here and their countries are not taking care of them. So the problem is that we're spending a lot of extra money where they should be spent for the seniors, the veterans, and taking care of the homeless here. So it's a matter of law. We need to set an example.
Thank you very much.
That's why I'm against the proposition.
Thank you, sir, for your comments.
Yes, my name is Raul Rodriguez Jr. I am the California Coordinator for America First Latinos. I am a proud American. I served in the armed forces in the United States Army. As you can see, I'm holding up a sign that says, "No, no, no, sanctuary state." The city of Beaumont is simply siding with the federal government. Siding with the federal government will not cost Beaumont any money at all. All you're doing is saying that you are in support of the federal government and you are not going with the state of California. These people in our country have violated federal law. SB 54 is unconstitutional. It places every American citizens in danger. I am 100% against illegal immigration. The California citizens did not vote for SB 54. It was forced upon us by Sacramento legislation. Why doesn't our elected officials place Americans first? How about our homeless? How about our veterans? How about our foster children? Why is this our government providing benefits to all these illegal aliens? Our country, who are all lawbreakers, these people are lawbreakers in our country, and they should be deported. They shouldn't be here. They are violating our laws, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Go ahead,
Okay,
sir.
my name's Bill Kezar. I'm a retired correctional peace officer, 20 years plus at CIM. I'm also a former United States Marine. Since 9/11/2001, over 61,000 of our citizens have been murdered. I repeat, murdered by illegal aliens coming across mostly from that southern border. We were involved in the Vietnam War for approximately the same amount of time. That means that over 4,000 of our citizens, what that means is that illegal aliens, again, mostly from across the southern border, have killed approximately 4,000 more Americans than what the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese Army did in the Vietnam War. I thank our Attorney General, Jeff Sessions. I thank our President, President Donald J. Trump, for doing all they can to enforce our immigration laws. I say no to SB 54, no to sanctuary cities, and deport the illegal aliens. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, sir.
Mayor Carroll, members of the City Council, good evening. My name is David Finn and I'm a Beaumont resident. I stand before you today as a real estate broker, veteran, Christian, and fellow public servant. The liberal policies being made by our leaders in Sacramento are hurting California, and in reference to Senate Bill 54, they are in direct rebellion to federal law. As a real estate broker, I see firsthand too many good citizens of California leaving the state. As a veteran of the United States Army, I took an oath of enlistment to protect or defend the Constitution and to obey all lawful orders. I was taught that if an unlawful order was given, I was not to follow it, but to report the situation immediately to a higher authority within my chain of command. As a Christian, I learned that Christ taught us to love one another, but he also taught us that we are to follow the laws of the land. An example is in the book of Matthew in chapter 21, where Jesus was asked, "Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not?" Jesus said, "Show me the tribute money," and they brought him a penny. He saith unto them, "Who is this image and subscription?" Then saith unto him, "Caesar." And when he saith unto them, "Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar." I'm a member of a worldwide Christian church, and one of our articles of faith states, we believe in being subject to kings, presidents, rulers, and magistrates, and obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law. Should someone be in rebellion to the laws of the land, we say make it right. Correct the situation so you can live right. In the case of illegal immigration, those individuals need to follow the law of the land and apply for citizenship if they want to stay in this country. No matter how long the process may take, get started now. Immigration is a delicate issue, and nearly all of us are descendants of immigrants to this country, but the important thing to remember and to enforce is that it is to be done according to federal law. So as a fellow public servant, I encourage you to live up to the oath you've taken to support the higher law, support the Constitution, and oppose Senate Bill 54. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your comment.
I'm going to call some more names. Greg Britton. I think it's Carolyn Hay, Kathy Johnson, Linda Gluck.
Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Thank you for your service. My name is Michael Thompson. I'm a homeowner here in the city of Beaumont. I'm here to speak against voting yes on Senate Bill 54. As you know, the city of Beaumont has issues with its current infrastructure and resources. We have only enough of both for those who live here today, and to some that may even be a stretch. We as a city and as a community are working on securing the necessary resources and building the necessary infrastructure for the current residents and for the approved growth. But we are by no means there yet. What voting yes on this bill will do is set us back even further and put an even greater strain on our community than already exists. Furthermore, voting yes to become a sanctuary city violates your oath of office that you took when you became council members. You swore to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. Voting yes to become a sanctuary city will violate that oath you took, and in my opinion, leaves you without a leg to stand on, and it leaves you without my vote in the next election. Voting yes on this bill violates the Constitution, violates federal law, and is all around bad for the city of Beaumont. I urge you as wise and level-headed leaders to vote no on State Senate Bill 54. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment.
Mayor, City Council members, my name is Agnes Gibbony. I find it very difficult that I'm standing here before you asking you to uphold federal laws and make a stand against the unconstitutionality of SB 54. You see, my only son, my firstborn, Ronald da Silva, was murdered by a previously deported illegal alien. I've been called many names. I've been called racist. I'm no racist at all. In fact, my nephew, Brian Staley, worked at the city as a police officer, and he is half Hispanic. Where was my son's sanctuary? Where was my sanctuary? You owe it to the American citizens to uphold the Constitution. SB 54 is a lie. It only protects the criminals and the illegal aliens who broke our laws by overstaying their visa and crossing the border illegally. Yes, this country was founded on by immigrants, but legal immigrants. Let's not confuse the two issues of legal immigrants and illegal immigrants. I am a legal immigrant. It took my family 13 years, and I'm proud of it. We never thought of coming here illegally. Make California a sanctuary for Americans and legal immigrants, not criminal illegal aliens. And I'm not saying all of them are criminal, but you owe it to us, because the guy that killed my son will be coming out in less than 2 years. Do you want him living next to you? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I am not a resident of Beaumont. However, I am a resident of California. SB 54 puts the vast majority of California residents, illegal or here legally, at greater risk of becoming a victim of crime. This is not the time to debate the broader issue of legal immigration or even illegal immigration. This is not the time to speak of dreamers, of the undocumented parents dropping their kids off at the school where I teach every day, the children that I love. SB 54 is only about what our state will do with illegal immigrants who have been convicted of felonies. Not traffic tickets, not misdemeanors, felonies. Felonies that include such things as drug offenses, repeated DUIs, rape of an unconscious person, shooting a firearm at a home or at a car. Common sense tells us that such criminals should be removed from our country if they can, by law, be removed. Please do not allow Jerry Brown to tie the hands of our ICE agents. Allow ICE to lease space once again in our prisons and jails. Allow correction officers to notify ICE of the release dates of these felons and to facilitate the safe transfer of these felons to ICE. Do not cause our ICE agents to have to apprehend these felons within our communities, putting innocent agents and bystanders at risk. By the way, local law enforcement often provides backup for ICE raids, using up financial resources that were supposedly saved by SB 54. Whatever you do, don't let anyone say you lack compassion because undocumented families may be torn apart, or that undocumented people won't report crimes. To those people I say, where is your compassion for the families of Kate Steinley and Jameel Shaw Jr. and the woman who just spoke up here? Innocent bright young people with bright futures ahead of them that were ripped permanently from their families. Where is your compassion for all the future victims of such felons? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, I'm Linda Gluck. I don't live here, but I drove 180 miles every week to come out and see the poorest of your poor who couldn't afford my services. The service wasn't offered locally. To make a long, I've spoken to a group that used to meet here regularly. Thank you for letting me speak here again. I only know about my personal experience. I had an office worker. Unbeknownst to me, she was only part-time, illegal. Through the months, I realized she was actually making $45,600 a year tax-free. The average citizen would bring home $28,000. She was taking home $45,000 tax-free. The difference is over $16,000. If you have 10 illegal residents, as enthusiastic as this girl was to work without paying taxes, that's $116,000 away from your roads, away from your police force, away from your schools. That's one person. She may have more opportunity to do that in Los Angeles, but I think that's disgusting. And when I asked her, I said, I've been to 2 naturalization services. Why don't you just become a citizen? And she looked at me and said, well, then I'm going to have to pay taxes. End of story.
Thank you for your comments.
I'll call more names.
Please.
Claire Ball, Miguel Gutierrez, Dylan Hudson.
Good evening, Greg Brenton from Redlands, California. Let's start with honesty. There are very powerful interests in this country that favor illegal immigration. Democrats want to stack the voting deck and business interests want cheap labor, and none of them care one iota about the effect on American citizens. We've heard about some of them. Bill talked about the 61,000 Americans that have been killed by illegal immigrants since 2000. No one of them cares about them. Or every year, 66,000 Americans die in opioid overdose, and a large part of that comes across the unsecured border. Do these people want to secure the border? No. So strong is their desire to protect illegal immigration that the Democrats in Sacramento have passed SB 54 to protect criminal illegal aliens, and they don't care about the effect on Californians. We already know that because of AB 109, because of Prop 47, Prop 57, crime is increasing. So why do we want to keep more criminals in this country? Let's say you have an illegal immigrant burglar. Why do we want to keep him in the country? And with our homes that American burglars won't burgle? Send all illegal immigrant criminals out of the country. And this is where it's your responsibility. The primary reason why we have government is to protect the people. Your job is to protect the citizens of Beaumont, including from criminals. And now you have a chance to stand up and push back against this unconstitutional law designed by the Democrats in Sacramento to protect illegal immigrant criminals for their own selfish political interests. I urge you to do what is right, fair, and just for your citizens.
Thank you for your comments.
My name is Carolyn Hayes from Redlands, California. My message is very simple. I would urge the City Council to back off and not support SB 54. Take a stand. We need your help. Support the Attorney General. And let's get rid of the problems that have been caused. You've been hearing from a lot of people tonight. I would urge you to take your stand against this law. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Mayor, Council, good evening. Tonight we stood to pledge our allegiance to the United States of America, not the United States minus California of America. Before being seated at the dais, each of you were placed under oath, and you each affirmed that you would, quote, support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, both foreign and domestic, close quote. The responsibility to secure and protect our borders against illegal immigration and invasion, etc., rests with the federal government and not any one state, including California. California SB 54 is counterproductive to the responsibilities of the federal law enforcement agencies concerning illegal immigration and creates a climate of chaos through reduction of communication between local, state, and federal agents over matters of immigration. I took this from your packet, the information that was provided in your packet. I believe it puts our local law enforcement officers at risk on how to act and potentially puts their safety at risk. Will they no longer be able to rely on federal help in certain situations? I know this council values this police department and would encourage you to form a resolution against SB 54. What am I to do as an employer in this state? By law, I'm required to document that all my employees are legal citizens. In the 30 years I have been employing people in Beaumont, there has been one case where they were unable to provide proper documentation. This happened to be a citizen from Canada. This is not an issue about the Mexican citizens, Mexican people, the Nicaraguans, El Salvadorans, etc. It is about illegal people, people who on their own choice came in against the laws of the United States. And with every choice there's a consequence. I would encourage you to vote to oppose SB 54. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
My name's Dylan Hudson, and I'm not here to pass judgment or hate or anything like that. There's just a few points that I think that a lot of people don't seem to understand. It's not the government's responsibility to protect non-citizens. And there's another point. How can we expect people who don't respect our immigration laws to respect any other law? And I hear a lot of tearjerker stories about families being torn apart. Well, it's not the responsibility of the people who are supposed to uphold the law to hold families together. The ones who are responsible, who are tearing these families apart, are the ones who created them in such an unstable environment. And there's also another point I'd like to bring across. From my understanding that the Beaumont area voted mostly pro-Trump, and I think it would be a disservice to them to not support Trump's policies. That's all I got to say about that.
Thank you for your comment.
I'll call some more names. William McPherson, Rafi Daniali, Lida Daniali, Nathan Miller, Janu Wild.
Greetings, Mayor and Council members. My name is William McPherson. I live at 11211 Sunny Slope Avenue, Beaumont, California. And I'm here to urge you to stand against California's sanctuary state status, SB 54. SB 54 helps protect dangerous criminals, encourages illegal immigration, and will eventually destroy this once prosperous state, my home. I was born here in California. I grew up here in Beaumont. Over the years, I've seen the city go from an economic powerhouse to a shadow of its former self. Housing costs and living costs at all-time high, poverty on the rise, and jobs far and few between. Beaumont cannot handle any more impoverished people. We need to take care of our own people that live here, that need help, before we can take in any more people. We can't continue to blindly let illegal immigrants into our state. We have to ask ourselves some questions. Who are these people? What are their backgrounds? Where did they come from? What are their intentions? Are they criminals on the run? Are they people here trying to make a living? Or are they here to take advantage of our generous welfare system, which is already under enough stress as it is? What are the risks of having unregulated immigration? And are we prepared to accept the consequences of said immigration? We need to fight SB 54. We need to cooperate with the federal government. We need to uphold the United States Constitution. We need to protect our cities, schools, and our homes. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Good evening, my name is Nathan Miller. I'm here on behalf of San Ysidro City Council member Andrew Kotyuk, who's also a candidate for Assembly. Citizens of the City of Beaumont and fellow council members, I regret that I cannot attend this evening since it coincides with San Ysidro City Council meeting, and I too, am working on with our own city attorney to put this issue on our agenda and make a stand. It is therefore exceptionally encouraging to see that the City of Beaumont is willing to take up discussion on an issue that I feel unconstitutionally puts the lives of all of our citizens and non-citizens for that matter at risk. While illegal immigration is an underlying determinant germane to this discussion, the fact of the matter is that this is first and foremost a public safety issue. To quote a recent article in The Hill, hardly any Californians know that in 2014, and this is after a number of felonies were reduced to misdemeanors, Governor Brown signed a bill that amended the state statute, amending the maximum sentencing for misdemeanor crimes by 1 day, from 365 to 364 days in jail. This was deliberately done to avoid current federal laws that provide for the deportation of illegal and legal immigrants in this country who have received sentences of 365 days or more. With the newly enacted jail and prison diversion programs of Prop 109 and 47, Governor Brown and company are effectively preventing the federal government from removing violent and recidivist illegal immigrants from our midst through the deportation process. And I'll cite the following statistics. This is from the U.S. Department of Justice, the FBI, and the U.S. Sentencing Commission, so dispute that. As of 2014, there are at least 11.2 million illegal immigrants residing in the U.S. This population comprises approximately 3.5% of our country's population. It accounts for 75% of all criminal defendants convicted and sentenced for federal drug offenses, 17% of all drug trafficking sentences, 1/3 of all federal prison sentences, 13% of all convicted and sentenced crimes committed in the United States, and 2,400 prisoners out of 130,000 total prisoners in California incarcerated for murder. If you support sanctuary cities, you're an accessory to murder, rape, and all of those crimes that are committed by those criminal illegal immigrants. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
The last two names I have is Denise Zamora and Andrew Kotyuk.
John Willis, good evening. In God we trust. I like to see that up there. And God bless your beautiful little city here. God bless our state. God bless our country. And God bless our president, Donald J. Trump, who has brought this issue to the forefront. He broke the ice to be able to discuss this in public. Now, you see I have a sign here that says American Dreamers First. I want to encourage you to follow this. And I'd like to know, why do we have to make special rules and set-asides for this one group? You know, no other group in our history has come to this country and asked for these set-asides or special dispensations. For example, Cubans have come here, Filipinos have come here, and people from Southeast Asia. They have fled from war-ravaged, poverty-stricken areas controlled by despots, and they've come here and given to our country. They've never complained, and they've saluted our flag. They love our country. But now we have a group that needs special protection that spit on our flag, and they stand out there and hold their stupid Mexican flag. It's outrageous and uncalled for. Now, as far as nullifying federal law, I'm not for it. And the last time we did it, we had to have a sit-down at Appomattox to straighten it out. It's just completely outrageous and racist why this group we have to cater to. We have one rule of law. Just recently, the National Sheriff's Association has bucked up against the sanctuary city crowd, and they have determined that it puts their officers in a state of lawlessness. Like, which law do you support? And now our Attorney General wants to sue employers for cooperating with Homeland Security. Like, I don't know how a law enforcement officer is supposed to do his job. And as far as being here legally, you've broken a federal law when you're at that point. Now, I'm a little short of cash. Robbing a bank is also breaking a federal law. And I'm pretty sure if I get arrested for doing this, this man's not going to want to hear that I have sanctuary like these people. It's outrageous, and I ask you to jump on the opt-out bandwagon.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
Hello and good evening. My name is Denise and I'm an American activist. I just wanted to remind this council the oath that you took part in when you swore to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of California, and all local ordinances and that you will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Beaumont, according to the law and the best of your ability. You are to uphold the laws of our Constitution to legal citizens, to American citizens. I am born and raised a Californian. I can go on about my ancestors and how they were immigrants and how this very land you are on is mine because they are Apache from the Mescalero tribe. But no, I live for today, not the past, and today we have laws. Today I am an American. I was born an American and I will die as one. You cannot, as a local official, just decide to ignore the law, and yet this is what has been happening in surrounding cities, which have declared themselves to be sanctuary. I've noticed this trend of groups that travel in packs, and they are mostly illegals. Mostly all of them don't even live in the county or the cities they attend meetings in. We've seen their guidelines and how to act and what to say and not what to say. They are organized thugs. They threaten council members and try to intimidate so that you can vote for SB 54. I am here to tell you, I am not afraid to stand up for you, as you should stand up for your residents like myself. You have support, and I urge you to stand with other cities that have opted out and join to fight back against this unlawful issue. We need to not allow those, especially the ones who already are criminals when they cross the border illegally, to invade our country and try to intimidate us Americans. They are not immigrants because immigrants stand in lines and become citizens who hold up American flags and honor our country. They are illegal aliens, and I hope ICE supports all of them.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Andrew Kotyak, a candidate for the 42nd Assembly, also San Jacinto City Council member, one of your cohorts as well. And I'm here this evening because I passionately believe behind opting out and voting down on this and what it means. We've seen destruction of California, from RDA being removed, from AB 109 happening, from 4757 proposition happening, and now this with SB 54. And there's more coming with releasing sexual offenders. We're seeing a decriminalization in California, a reduction in our public safety, and we know where the money isn't going. It's not going to save our communities. It's not going to the mentally ill. The mental health department was eliminated in 2012. This is going to votes. This is going to register people that aren't legal citizens of our country or our state on this point. This affects us all. This affects our community. We see it, right? With the guns, with the drugs, with the human trafficking in all of our neighborhoods, in our communities, in our school districts. This is something that we need to stand for together. My city, we have 4 indicted council members. We went through a lot of several problems, much like many other cities. Your leadership of standing forward and coming forward today is so important, not just for Beaumont, but also be the first one in Riverside County. This is on my agenda in San Jacinto. On May 1st, we'll be hearing the same item. We have thousands of people that are signed on for this movement to protect ourselves and protect the state of California. So I beg with you and plead with you to please stand with the people and support opting out. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Who's speaking here? All right, we didn't see you. I thought it was the man who just got up. I was going to say, I've been looking at him all night. Why didn't he think of this before now? Go ahead.
It doesn't cost the city any money to pass a resolution in support of the lawsuit, Attorney General Jeff Sessions lawsuit, United States versus California. And in your resolution, you should just say that you support the federal lawsuit. Parts of SB 54 and AB 103 and AB 450 violate the supremacy clause of the Constitution. And so if the lawsuit is successful, it does not repeal SB 54. It only repeals that section of the SB 54 that's in violation of the supremacy clause. So don't use the word opt out of SB 54 because that's not what you're doing. Anyway, a city, charter city, Los Alamitos, they chose to opt out of SB 54, and they're asking for a lawsuit because they want to push this further. So in your resolution, don't use the word opt out of SB 54. Just say that you support the federal lawsuit. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Now, you have been sitting in the front row all night. Why didn't you sign up before?
I did sign up.
Okay, we missed you. Then please come forward. I'm glad you stepped up.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor and City Council and everybody here. And I'm honored to be able to speak and have that honor. This is about a bigger agenda. This isn't about ethnicity. It's about so much more. Here we have hired people that come out to these things, and they're hostile, and they're threatening, and they're intimidating. Okay, I am a citizen of Cherry Valley, and I've been in Cherry Valley here for almost 9 years. I was in Yucaipa for over 20 years, and so I've been in this area for a long time, raised my kids here, etc. I'm proud to say I am a member of the Banning Beaumont Cherry Valley Tea Party. I want to say it's also about a sinking boat called California. You know, we can't afford to hold much more, and I won't take a lot of time either just because I know everybody wants to go home. It's also about others that have waited 5 years or so to get citizenship. So when you talk about what the Bible says thou shalt not steal. So when they come over illegally, they are stealing another person's place that has hopes and dreams and wants to come to California or Texas or New York or wants to come wherever to have a better life. So when you talk about the Bible, the other gentleman had said that to obey the laws of the land. So, and Article 6 of the Constitution, which Doug had brought up and which some other ones had brought up, says that we are to abide by the laws of the Constitution. It is the supreme law of the land. And I just want to say, too, we need to be helping our own. With the money that we could save, and another lady had said how much it costs for the illegals here that we have to support, we could be getting seniors relief for their property taxes. I believe that the seniors need to be getting relief and not having to be paying outrageous amounts after they pay their house off and they have to retire and they cannot.
Thank you very much for your comments.
You're welcome, and thank you.
8:40, and I am going to turn it over to questions and comments from council. With that, I'd like to start with Councilmember Lahr.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone, this evening for your time and your energy and your passion. It's a very difficult time that we find ourselves in, but SB 54, or the California Values Act, which, as we know, actually covers the responsibility of the federal government on immigration. Now, I also understand as a Beaumont City Council member that I have limited jurisdictional authority when it comes to SB 54. Therefore, I'll focus my concerns primarily on the safety of our citizens here in the city. This state law limits cooperation between federal agencies and local law enforcement agencies, which is a very big concern of mine. When you consider the importance of working relationships that take years to build in the task force that I know some of our officers join, and especially the importance of sharing information. And again, this information sharing also comes to the safety of our citizens. I believe our officers have and are doing a great job at keeping all Beaumont citizens safe. But unfortunately, politicians determine how they believe law enforcement should protect us, and they fall short. We are not asked, but told, to accept a lower standard of safety and protection for our city, and I strongly disagree. In closing, I as a council member took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. However, SB 54's overreaching law into federal government's arena of responsibility creates a conflict for me, a supremacy clause, which means that when these laws conflict, I am required to support and uphold the U.S. Constitution. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Councilmember Lahr. Councilmember Martinez?
I just have a short comment. First of all, I do thank you for coming today to the council and showing up tonight. I'm very proud to see residents stand up for issues they believe so strongly in, no matter what side you're on. But I just truly believe that the issue before us tonight is embedded in such a deep partisan politic that it has little connection to city matters. I just don't believe a city or a board should take position where state and federal policies are in conflict. These decisions should be left to the judicial system, which is entrusted to decide which position is correct. At that point, and only at that point, should a city or board start examining their policies to ensure compliance with the verdict of the court. I have no doubt that we're going to be back here again in the future to discuss the direction of our city, that what it should take, should, and when the determination of the court, and only the court, decides which side is right. And I have no opinion on the direct issue itself. I see no relevance for further discussion at the city level. I don't believe it is our issue to discuss here. I urge residents to contact their Assembly Member Chad Mays, State Senator Mike Morrell, and the U.S. Congressman Raul Ruiz to voice your opinions and to state your position on the matter. Okay, thank you.
All right, ma'am, please leave. Please leave. Continue the meeting until you leave, so please do it promptly. Thank you. Now, if anybody else can't maintain decorum, you're welcome to leave right now. Thank you. Thank you very much for your comments, Councilmember Martinez, and I apologize for the interruption at the end of it. Councilmember White?
Good evening. I asked for this item to be put on the agenda because I believed it was a discussion that we had to have. I think it's important that we've listened, and I've sat here and listened to every single person intently. And I want to make a few comments. First of all, this is not about illegals versus legal. This is in my position. This is not about immigration, illegal immigration. This is about illegals. This is about criminals and about the rule of law. This council fully understands the importance of governing by the rule of law. We've personally experienced the consequences of not governing under the rule of law. Beaumont is coming back from the brink of bankruptcy, and we are making great strides to putting the criminal actions of our former city officials behind us. The last thing I want to do now is to divide our community. But we know firsthand it is in the best interest of our community that we respect and govern by the rule of law. SB 54 requires local governments to protect foreign criminals from deportation after committing crimes against our citizens. If these criminals had committed the same crimes in their home countries and then applied for legal immigration, our federal immigration laws would have prevented these criminals from coming to the United States. So what we're doing is we are protecting people who are committing crimes that they would have invalidated their entrance to our country. SB 54 sends the following message to foreign criminals. Avoid the legal immigration process and come here illegally. Then if you choose to continue your criminal activities and caught by local law enforcement, the state of California will work to prevent the local agency to work with the federal government on deporting you. Will work to prevent the local agency from working with the federal government. If you are released while awaiting trial, you're free to disappear. And if Border Patrol captures you, don't worry, because they won't turn you over to the local law enforcement for trial and conviction, since our governor won't allow local agencies to coordinate with your deportation. The worst case is you will be deported and required to face criminal charges. You should be back in the U.S. in no time at all. You'd be deported and not required to face your criminal charges. SB 54 makes law-abiding residents less safe. It provides safe protection for foreign criminals. The congressional investigation following 9/11 found that failure of intelligence agencies to share information and resources with each other played a significant role and our government's inability to save thousands of lives. In a declaration made by Border Patrol Chief Rodney Scott as part of the federal government's sanctuary city case against the state of California, there are numerous real-life examples. I recommend that if you want to find out about those, that you Google Patrol Chief Rodney Scott, Border Patrol. Governor Brown and Mr. De Leon claim that without SB 54, illegal immigrants would not report criminal activity to law enforcement for fear of being deported. That is not an issue here in Beaumont. I have an enormous amount of respect for Beaumont Police Chief Dooley's and his proactive community policing approach. His department wouldn't be effective without first gaining the trust of all our residents. The following is an excerpt from Beaumont PD's current department policy. It is the policy of the Beaumont Police Department that all members make personal and professional commitments to equal enforcement of the law and equal service to the public. Confidence in this commitment will increase the effectiveness of this department in protecting and serving the entire community and recognizing the dignity of all persons, regardless of their immigration status. Beaumont PD will not, this is my words again, Beaumont PD will not be inquiring about an individual's immigration status when coming forward to report a crime. This has been the Beaumont PD's policy long before Governor Brown dreamed up SB 54, and it will continue to be the policy after SB 54 has been ruled unconstitutional. The Constitution of the United States of America is the supreme law of the land. States have certain rights to enact laws that are not in conflict with the federal law. I swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, first and foremost. I also swore to uphold and defend the Constitution of the State of California, secondarily, but with no less a duty than the first. The adoption of SB 54 has created a conflict between state and federal law and restricts local law enforcement's ability to cooperate with federal authorities to protect California residents. This conflict leaves me no choice but to publicly state my opposition to SB 54. I would also like to encourage my fellow council members to join me in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Santos.
I'd like to say first is I really appreciate hearing all of you, speaking, in front of us, and especially me. I'm an immigrant and I'm a U.S. citizen of this country, and I'm a citizen of Beaumont for 14 years, and I used to live in Loma Linda, Redlands, and I do respect our citizens, and my background. I used to be a controller in East LA, and I do have employees of 296, just to be exact. It's all Spanish, and we do garments and all those stuff. And I do respect. During that time, we don't ask for papers on that because we cannot justify it and do and declare it as a fake. We've been trained by the government, the U.S. government, and I do comply anything that what the U.S. government and the state. On this token, I will not express more on this. I do comply a lot on the U.S. government, and being a U.S. citizen in this country, I do respect all the citizens, all the immigrants, that who really work hard to earn their livings and also respect the USA. And I do respect, one is the sanctuary, and I like to see that this will not pass. And I do say no on the sanctuary on this. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Sorry.
I didn't write up anything to say tonight. I didn't because I really wanted to hear what everybody had to say. I didn't come in with any preconceived opinion. I am not a granola crunching liberal, and I'm not a crazy right-wing extremist when I sit on the council. I am here nonpartisan to always, every time I show up, to do the best job that I can for the citizens of Beaumont. Many of you don't live in Beaumont, but that doesn't mean that you don't have concerns and that your voice wasn't very important. You brought up a lot of issues. Most importantly is the issue that comes up with the supremacy clause, that the federal government has indicated legally one course of action, and then the state legally, within their framework, made their own set of rules that seems to conflict with that. I don't know anybody on this dais who's an attorney. And this is truly, whether we like it or not, it's a legal issue. And we are not lawyers. We don't even have a jail in the city of Beaumont. So we are not releasing robbers, rapists, and murderers in the city of Beaumont. So even if we thought that it was a terrible idea what SB 54 did, there isn't anything really much that we would do differently. So there's almost no there for the city of Beaumont. We have a wonderful police force that's very engaged in the community. What I heard from almost everybody who was really concerned about us taking some sort of almost honorary or type action, because we can't really make a difference. It doesn't really apply to us. We are not a county jail. We're not a state jail. We're not releasing people. We're not putting them out on the streets to put you at risk. We always try to uphold the law. But what I hear, and the part that really struck me the most, is fear. And a lot of fear that somehow or other you're not being safe with this. I wish I could do something tonight to take that fear away, because none of us should be able to live in fear. We work really hard, we have a nice community, and we shouldn't be fearful. And I'm very sorry that you are. But I can't really change all of that. All I can do is try to choose to do the right thing within the framework of what it is that I'm able to do. And this is a battle of the titans that has gone on since the Civil War. The federal government made rules during that period of time that states did not want to follow. And they basically stood up and said, you can't tell us what we can do within our own state borders. And at that time, we're very embarrassed to say they were fighting for slavery and trying to keep it alive. So that was, the city of Savannah wasn't going to change the world if they decided to declare that they were going to do something different than the state of Georgia. And we're not going to change the world. We might be able to be pretty good at politicking if we do it, and there'll be a whole group on this side or a whole group on this side, or people at home watching who'll think it's a swell idea maybe, but we're not really going to change anything. And we're spending an awful lot of money going over and over on this. I don't think it's money wasted, because everything that you said tonight is critically important, and basically it's safety, 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 safety. So I would say that this council really needs to hear the safety concern of almost everybody in here who is against SB 54. And you know what? If you are against it, I say go at it. Make it tougher. If you don't like the fact that there's 800 violations and we left a whole bunch of them not covered, go at it. Make it, put it on the ballot and have it withdrawn, or make it tougher. If you think that there's some slimy thing that somebody's done where they took 365 days and cut it down to 364, see, I was listening, go after it. Make sure it's visible. Make sure it changes, because you have a right to do that. We don't have a right to decide whether the federal government has stepped over a line or whether the state has stepped over a line. I have my own personal thoughts on this, but I'm not even going to bring them up because that's not my job on the dais. My job on the dais is to try to do the right thing for the city. So I do not think that this is a city issue. I am really glad that we had this forum. I am so glad that we heard everything. I am not saying that we didn't listen to everything that you said. I want to make the city safer. I want to make Cherry Valley safer by not having crime here in Beaumont that laps over the edges. I don't want to do anything that's against the supremacy clause, but I am not the Supreme Court. And it's never going to happen that I am. Thank you.
It was not clear how Councilman Santos is for a resolution.
If you will sit down, sir, we will finish our business. And thank you very much for the question. Okay, with that, do we have anything else that needs to be said from the dais?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a couple more comments, please.
Go right ahead.
Okay. One of the things that it brought up by the mayor as well as some of the speakers is about how SB 54 was the will of the voters. It wasn't. And I'm not saying that Mayor Carroll said that, but she suggests that we need to take this to a ballot. It should have gone to a ballot in the first place.
I agree.
No reason. Excuse me?
I agree.
There's
go right
no
ahead.
reason. I'm sorry.
I said, go ahead. Sorry.
There's no reason that an issue this important should not be going to the voters. The same thing happened with the gas tax, the SB 1. So, yes, we do need to make a stand, and we do need to do something. And I'm going to follow Mayor Carroll's advice. If I'm opposed to something, I'm going to try and do something about it. And I can do something about it as being on a council. And so what I would like to do tonight is I would like to make a motion that the city council takes a position in opposition of SB 54. And as part of my motion, I'd like to read a resolution, a sample resolution. I'm not an attorney. I drew it up taking information from other resolutions. But I think the gist of what's in the resolution is something that can be brought back to us by our city attorney at our next council meeting on something we can vote on. We cannot vote on it tonight because it hasn't been shared with the public, and not everyone up here is familiar with what I'm going to read. So let me read to you the resolution that I would like to see the city council approve moving forward and bringing back for another vote. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America is the supreme law of the land, the states within the Union have certain rights to enact laws that are not in conflict with the federal laws. And whereas the City Council of the City of Beaumont swears an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, first and foremost, as an affirmation of our duty as public servants. And whereas the City Council of the City of Beaumont swears an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the State of California, secondarily, but no less a duty than the first. And whereas the City Council of the City of Beaumont accepts that when state law conflicts with the federal law shall be the supreme law of the land and as specified in the United States Constitution. And whereas the City of Beaumont believes in the rule of law both as it applies to our service to the United States of America and to the state of California. Whereas the Council finds that the adoption of this resolution does not constitute a project under California Environmental Quality Act and no environmental assessment is required. Now, therefore, the City Council is committed to protecting the City of Beaumont's residents through the enforcement of local, state, and federal laws. The adoption of SB 54 has created a conflict between the state and federal law and has restricted local law enforcement's ability to cooperate with the federal authorities to protect California's residents. The City Council of the City of Beaumont hereby resolves as follows. Number 1, to adhere to the rule of law. Number 2, to demand the Congress of the United States of America, both the House of Representatives and the Senate, address the need for comprehensive immigration reform and bring certainty to those who are desirous of becoming part of this experiment we call democracy. And finally, to continue to support the efforts of our local law enforcement partners in keeping our communities safe. And I want to finish by saying, The cost for our city attorney to draw this up is not the type of resources that everyone was concerned that we would be wasting or spending. I think it would be money well spent, and that's my motion.
I would like to ask the city attorney something that relates to that motion, if I could, please. That is the wording of the resolution that you would have to read through, recraft, or modify. Am I correct? And that would require...
Actually, I would take it verbatim and just type it up and bring it back to the council.
All right.
It doesn't require anything on our part. Literally, the city clerk can draft it up.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Mayor, I think the resolution touches on the concerns that I've had regarding the safety of our citizens, and especially the safety of our police officers as they do their duty and work to protect us. And so with that, I would second that motion.
Well, I'd be a hypocrite if I voted for it because I just said it was a non-issue for the city. So by going for the resolution, I'm literally joining in with the need to discuss it to begin with. So that's just my comment.
Is our doing a resolution have any impact on any changes whatsoever in the world?
You're gonna get sued.
I'm asking the city attorney, unless any of you are the city attorney, please do not answer.
So the resolution that Councilmember White went over, as I understood it, is the statement of the position of the council. So that's what it is.
But it has no effect on what, how we function?
I don't think it's going to have an impact on how your law enforcement department functions, and particularly the last three paragraphs of the resolution. I listened to those very carefully.
So it doesn't have any importance in how we go on our day-to-day
Mayor, I'd like to
life?
call for the question.
No, I'm just talking to the city attorney.
It's a statement.
Okay.
And that's what the issue was before the council tonight, was whether or not you wanted to take a position on this.
All right.
So, and you have the ability to do that as a council.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I believe that you've had a motion and a second, so now you need to do a roll call.
Yes. Councilmember Lara?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Martinez?
No.
Mayor Carroll?
No.
Councilmember Santos?
Yes.
I'll take a 10-minute break. It's 9:10, we'll reconvene at 9:20.